Welcome to the weekly offload. So we've got an amazing guest for us, Luke Polselli.
How you going, all? How you doing?
I don't want to say that wrong, mate, because we're just saying before the podcast, when I did see your last name, I was thinking, I don't want to fuck this up.
No,
but
a lot of people get it wrong. I've got Polselli, and then it is pronounced Polselli, but I just sort of take what everyone else says, to be honest. I don't really mind.
Yeah, mate. And then we're in we're in Kingston, in London at the moment. So thank you, obviously, for having me, mate. So it's been great to come here and meet you boys. Tell us about your journey, mate, in rugby league, because I know you were saying about playing on the Sunshine Coast. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I'm a Manly boy, born and raised there. I played most of my juniors there, Howell Mads, SG Ball, and 20s there, and then then played last 20s there, and then had a year at Cronulla. When Jersey Flag just come back. I don't know if you remember that, but had another year there. We had a good year. We won the comp there, and that was with the likes of like Bronson Cherry and Braden Trindle and those boys, and. I was fortunate enough to play alongside them, and where'd I go after? And then I had a year, and then I did the pre-season at Cronulla that year. So that's how, when you mentioned Flano, that's when. So I sort of knew him from that, and then after that went to Newtown, had a year at the Blue Bags, won the comp with them, and then after that I headed up north to Mackay actually. And that was the COVID season, so I actually drove up. How far is that a drive? 12 hours one day, and it was about 14 the next. So I did that long drive up, and then COVID hit. So I was there for about 2 months, and then shit hit the fan, and then I had to come back. They said, look, stay up here, but there's just not going to be any footy. You can play local league up here. I was like, look, I'll just go back home, be with my family and stuff. And then just played local footy that year in Manly for Cromer Kingfishers actually. And then again, won the comp there. So I've been pretty lucky with the comps I've won, actually. And then after COVID, and then I head up to Sunny Coast, and I've been there for the last 4 or 5 years. Did a stint at Melbourne for a pre-season as well, and that was probably my highlight of my career. That was up there.
I was going to ask, because I know a lot of players say that. The Storm, the culture, and just the structure there. Like, how did you find that just doing the pre-season even?
The things they say about it, how tough it is and all that, it's very true. That was, I was only there for a few months, but it was definitely the toughest thing that I've done. Some of those wrestling sessions you probably hear about, and they're fucked, mate. There's no other word for it. I didn't get to go on that IDQ camp that they do once a year. Because I just had so many numbers at the time, and because I was only doing the pre-season, they just gave it to the boys who actually signed there. And from what I've heard, that was a pretty hard camp too. So I'm glad I didn't do that.
And then I was going to say, mate, when you're talking about that 12-hour drive, do you ever tell English people here? Because for them, an hour drive, they want to get a hotel.
I don't get it. They just don't like travelling over here. But I don't mind the long drives. When we all our away trips and stuff, like some days we do like 7 hours there, 7 hours back on the same day. And I don't mind, especially on the way back. You get to, on the way there we play cards. You know what you do on a trip away. You play cards. You get around the boys, and then on the way back you do the same thing. You get on the piss. You listen to music. It's and you just stay close, and no one can go anywhere because when you go out, the boys start looking for girls and stuff. They start going off, and the group gets smaller and smaller. But when you're on the bus, everyone has to stay there and stuff. And it's good. Do
you think that helps, mate, with the, I guess, team bonding as well?
Absolutely. A lot of the footy players will say, like, the best way to bond is to get on the piss. As bad as it sounds, every club I go to, I try and get righto, let's get on the piss straight away. Let's bond as quickly as possible. Because then from there, you start telling stories the next day at training or the next 2 days at training, and then you just get so much closer, and you just create a bond with them so much quicker. Yeah,
it makes sense, mate. And then I was going to ask you, I was very curious, mate, with terms of the Queensland Cup. So let's say that's standard to playing in the championship or playing in England. Like, how do you feel, or what's the big differences there?
I'd say just the skill is a lot better. The physicality is definitely the same. Because you get those big English lads that just, they're just rough as guts and they just want to smash it basically. And but whereas like I said, Queensland Cup, it's more skillful because you're getting, 5-6 NRL players back, like contracted NRL players. They come back, and obviously the skill level is much higher. But yeah, that's the only difference really. It's just the skill.
Yeah, because I remember I went to a London Broncos game. This probably would have been about, like I was telling you guys, maybe 5 years ago when I was here.
Yeah.
And because you're very close, obviously, because of small stadium, I couldn't believe of the line speed.
Yeah.
Because obviously I've been to a lot of NRL games, but you're a little bit further back and you can't see it as well, I'd say. But the line speed was just so quick at the same time. But would you say it's just like maybe a lapse of concentration that sort of happens a little bit more?
Yeah, I don't know, mate. I'm just lucky I play fullback. I'm not having to get up in the line. Well, I've played six the last few seasons, but my preferred fullback position is fullback. Sorry, and but yeah, the line speed some of the games it's just crazy. And I played six a couple games this year, and just having to get up and back, like it's tough. It is tough.
And then why do you think, mate, because obviously I've lived here as well, that rugby league hasn't kicked off here?
Yeah, it's disappointing to be honest, because you probably heard what Luke Keary had said about the Super League, that few weeks ago, and he's probably right. They've just, for me, it's, you got all these young players that aren't playing in the Super League, but they play as a reserve grade team once every 4 weeks or whatever it is, and they don't have the reserve grade that they should be playing here. Like when they don't play Super League, they come back and drop for whoever. Like for instance, Storm, if they don't make Storm, they come play for Sunny Coast. They don't do that here. So there's some players in the Super League that's in that squad. They might not play for 4 or 5 weeks, and how are you meant to get any better and consistent by playing every once a month? I just don't think it's right over here.
Yeah, and do you think, I guess, it would help if the NRL bought the Super League? Because that's also chatted about.
You hear of all the stuff in the news happening at the moment, and I just think it would make the game over here so much better. And, there's the talent and stuff's over here, but I think now they're hoping to allow more Australian players to come and play over here. And I just think it would just make the league over here so much better.
Do you think, because I know some people say about if they let more Aussies come over, obviously it's less English talent get to play. What do you think about that?
They probably do have a case to, over that, but yeah, I don't know. I just think it would just make the game over here so much better.
By the way, I did think about, I'm asking you that question and you're an Aussie playing over here.
I'd love for more of us to come over and play here.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I do think, I understand it would lift the standards because obviously you guys are used to doing the pre-season and playing at home. So, because I know the South's halfback, Luke Humphries, I think, he played over in...
He was a London boy.
Yeah, he was... So I feel like he's...
I can't remember. Was it his dad who played for them or coached them? I'm not sure, but that's how he got into the juniors over here.
Yeah,
he obviously just played for London.
Yeah, I found that amazing because he obviously played over here, kept his standard. He did say his dad would be on him about keeping the standing. Here? I'm pretty sure from what I read, it was about 15 or 16.
Yeah, right. So he must have spent a bit of time over here.
Yeah, and he said that his dad would be quite tough on him to keep the standard high because obviously playing, he was in the academy, the London Academy, keep that standard high. But I guess... Yeah, so you think, one of the solutions would be, you think, bringing more Aussie talent over just to build the...
I think so. But like I said, there's talent over here. It's just, I don't know, I just believe that, the more Aussies over here can just bring the standard of quality of footy up, and then that will bring more fans over, that'll bring, more money, whatever. So I think it would just be a good part for the game.
And then playing fullback, mate, do you feel like you do get a bit more freedom over here? Because I've heard Aussies say that too.
Yeah, absolutely. My game sort of, a lot of people have said in the past that I remind them a bit like Tedesco. I sort of look up and I'm always sort of running where the ball is. I'm looking for where the space is all the time. And like you said, it gives me more freedom. I can look up and go, right, I can scan the defence and go, right, I think there's space over here. Or I think there's a weakness here. I can sort of pick and choose where I go. And my coach has told me, he goes, mate, he's given me, pretty much the head, like the green light to just look up and look for space really, and just take what I believe we should do.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. So that's a good segue into it. Do you feel like there's less suffocation with coaching as well over here? Like there's less structure? Or?
I wouldn't say less structure, but I don't know. You just got to build your confidence with your coach and your players around you, and then once you show that you're capable of doing the things you can, you sort of just go, right, I'm going to take this and I'm going to do it with confidence. If I go in there second guessing myself, then that's when errors happen and stuff like that. So I sort of just, just everything I do, I just do it with confidence. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, then, we try it again.
And then I must say, I have to give a shout out to Blanche because she made me, who I work with at one playground. But I remember her telling me when you were going over there, I said to her, I was like, that would be such a good experience because you're obviously playing rugby league, what you love, for money. But then also, do you find it a lot easier too? Because obviously when you go out and things like that, there's no media pressure.
No, well, I originally didn't come over here to play for London. I moved to Manchester and I was just going to play local league for Rochdale, they're called. And I come over here with a mate that I played in Sunny Coast with. And it was me, my partner, my mate and his partner, all the four of us were coming over, and I got my equivalent of a white card because I'm a chippy back home, and I got equivalent of a white card to allow me to work on site over here. So I got that, did all that, paid for all that, and then I sort of got in the town and I just didn't feel quite comfortable there. Like it just felt like I didn't feel at home, you know what I mean? And
that's in Manchester, was it?
Yeah. So just outside Manchester.
Yeah.
And I originally, so before that, I'll take it backwards. In November, London asked me to come over and play for them, but I said no. Like I'm sort of not done with serious footy, but I sort of wanted to take a backward step and just sort of enjoy being able to travel and play footy on the side a little bit. But I sort of got to Rochdale and I was like, maybe I'm not where I thought I was in my career. I still got that fire left in me. So actually, after that, then I said to Steph, my partner, I said, look, I think I want to hit up London and go over there and give it another crack, give it one more crack. And so I hit up Mike, the coach, and I said, mate, is this offer still available? I'd love to come over and give it a go. And fortunately enough, he said, yeah, he said, come on down. And literally 2 days later, I was on a train to London.
Wow, I did not know that because I thought you came over for the opportunity. The Broncos. That's a great story.
Yeah, no, I sort of, like I said, I didn't pull the pin, but I was like, I was at the back end of my last year's season, I wasn't over it, but like just the pressures of football and, working and playing football, it's a lot harder than being full time. You got to work 9-10 hours a day, like waking up at 5:30, working 9-10 hours a day, then having to train at night for three hours. Like it's fucking hard, And then I was like, you know what? I'm just done with that. I sort of want to take a backward step, enjoy it a little bit more. And but now I'm not working now, and I think that's sort of the first time I've been able to do it for a full season. And obviously I did it during the pre-season when I was at Storm and Cronulla, but. I'm just enjoying it so much more, and I can focus on my footy now. Whereas back home, I was focused on footy and work. I didn't, I had to juggle them both. So, but yeah, it's just so much better being able to, just purely focus on footy, and then I can take care of my injuries. I can do my rehab. I can properly do what's it called when you. Recovery, that's the word. I don't know why I forgot.
That's why we got Ethan in the
room. But yeah, I can do more recovery more, and so like the days after my game, I've started golf too. I started playing a bit of golf, so I'm able to go for big walks and play a bit of golf as recovery, and I can go to the pool, I can do a stretch, I can do all that I probably wouldn't be doing if I was back home. I'd play on a Sunday. The next day I'd be waking up to stand trusses.
We had what you're saying. We had an NRLW player on, and she finds that tough. It's doing obviously going to work, then the training, and then you're meant to do mobility, recovery, and all those other things. And she goes, "There's just the time. It's hard."
I don't know how I did it then, but my body just, I don't know how I put my body through it. It's out there in the sun, especially on the sunny coast. You know how hot it can get up there, and it was just yeah, it took a toll on me. I was just getting over it. I was just tired. I think I was like, you know what, I'm just over it. Like I'm just tired, and I just want to take a backward step.
Because you get a lot. So I used to know Santis, his name was. He used to play. He plays actually, I think, for Toulouse now as well. But he said when you're at a young age, is it hard to not stay motivated, but it is footy 24/7. And I know that's your passion, but is it hard to keep that fire burning at certain times?
Yes and no. You get your days where whenever we play a game and, the coach says, make sure you watch the game back. I don't like to watch it that same day. Like a lot of the boys go home that night and watch the game straight away, whereas I prefer to, that's
switch
done.
off.
So, yeah, I'll switch off, when the next day I'll sort of switch off as well. Like I'll go do my grocery shopping with my partner and go have a coffee with her and get outside and sort of enjoy, not enjoy life, but sort of get my mind away from it a little bit. And then, because I feel like in the past I've just been so footy, like it gets tiring. Like I love the game, don't get me wrong, but there's times where you just got to go, righto, like I just want to clock off. And, at the moment I get the chance to go away overseas and stuff. That's my time to really, like I was in Sicily last weekend with my grandparents and my partner. That was a really good way for me to, halfway of the season gone by, and I've sort of gone, right, I'm going to take a back set, like just relax, just experience the world and, and be in the moment, you know what I mean?
That's what I miss, mate, about living here. How good is it to just grab a backpack and then go to Spain for 5 days?
Little Ryanair bags and you're squishing it in there under your seat and stuff. Yeah, but no, it's been good. I didn't think I was going to do so much travelling in such a short space. We've probably been to 4 or 5 countries at the moment, and, mate, it's been great. It hasn't been summer yet, but I was in Sicily last week and, mate, it was steaming hot. So summer's coming for sure.
And you can just you could go to a different place in Europe and it would be completely different in 2 years or 2 hours away.
2 hour flight and you're going to, I was in the Sahara Desert a month ago, and then last week I was in Sicily at the beach. Like it was just crazy. It's just crazy to think how close everything is. Whereas when you're in Australia, you're a 6 hour flight, you get yourself to Perth, you know what I mean? It's just a different feeling.
Yeah, 100%. And then, mate, I remember when you played for Italy, because I was up early watching a lot of those games, and I had a little bit of a particular eye on yourself, obviously, due to Blanche. There's your second shout out, Blanche.
She's loving
she
this.
goes, don't say anything bad about me. I'm like, what could I say?
I've got a few things to say about her, but I'll keep it under.
But how was that experience, mate? Because I thought you played. Obviously, I'm buttering her up because you come on the podcast, but I thought you played very well, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
No, it was it was a good experience. My parents and my family were, especially my grandparents, mate, they were over the move. They didn't quite understand what was actually going on and how big of a deal it was, but they go, oh, very proud of you, Luke. I'm very, very proud.
I like good impersonation, mate.
I can do a lot better than that.
That's a typical Aussie. That's a typical Aussie doing an accent.
No, it was good, mate, and I was able to meet boys like Luke and Marie, like you've had on, and Ethan, and mate, like a lot of those boys, like I still talk to today, and it was 3 years ago, and I'm still talking to some of those boys today, and I'm obviously get to play with Ethan, which is a bonus here, and having him here. No, it's been good, but it was a great experience, coming over here and playing in those 3 games. When we heard we were going to play Australia, and Fiji, that was a bit of a scare, to be honest. Whereas it was a tough game against Scotland. We did win that first game, which was good. I think everyone got a bit excited. We're like, we're going to go all right here. We're going to give Fiji and Australia a bit of a crack. And then we celebrated that win for sure.
Yeah, it's actually, mate, I was thinking about this on the way here. Interesting to have you on, because I always thought about, in particular, let's say an Aussie with a different background playing for another country. When you do come up against Australia or a team of that calibre.
It was a funny one, eh?
Yeah, what's your thinking towards that?
It was funny because like, because we were standing there and they were doing the Italian anthem and I don't know it. Like, and then we had to practice it, but I was no good at it. My memory's no good. So I'm standing there with like my eyes closed like this. And then as soon as the Australian anthem come on, I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
You wanted to see. Yeah, that's actually true.
It was just a weird feeling when, because the coach said to us, they're like, boys, don't sing it. You know,
it's not a good look.
It won't be a good look.
Yeah,
so,
fair.
But mate, we were just warming up, and I remember me and Jake Mays and one of the other boys, we've looked at each other like warming up, and we've gone, what are we doing here? Like, we're about to verse the best team in the world. Like, you've got Latrell Mitchell over there, Josh Adokar, we were just like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
And mate, and by far, even though we got pumped.
Yeah.
You know, that was probably my favourite game of my career.
Wow.
Yeah, like it was. We actually watched it a couple of weeks ago. We were like, oh, let's have a look if it's still on YouTube, and it's still there. And we had a bit of a watch, and mate, we were in tears the whole time. We thought it was so funny. And just looking back now and. No. But it was the best. It was my favourite game I've ever played. So
what about the banter on the field? So if you guys are sort of, do you think they knew all of you guys as well?
They would have known at least one or few people in the team. You know, I remember a few of them. Ches from Manly. I did a couple of days here and there with the full-time squad there, so he remembered me for that. I didn't think he'd remember me because I was doing 1 day a week with him, you know, when I was 18 or whatever, and I didn't think he'd go, how are you, Lukey? I said, oh, hey. Like, I didn't think he'd remember me, but, you know, and then Cam Murray, I played a bit of school footy with him back in the day, and actually played a game with Ruben Cotter too back in Mackay, so he sort of remembered me from that. And then, like, same with the other boys, they played at least local juniors or, you know, rep footy with him at some stage in their careers, and obviously Nathan Brown, our captain, he obviously knew a lot of the boys, and it was good. We at least knew a few of the boys in that team.
And I guess it sort of leads me on to my next question, mate, of who's the hardest player you've played against?
Ooh. I tell you what, it doesn't look it, but Nathan Cleary, he's a strong prick.
Oh, really? Yeah, so you even mean not even the sort of psychological, the physical?
Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Because I was like, right, because I got the ball at fullback and I go, right, who am I going to run at here? Like, and I've gone, Latrell Mitchell, nah. I'll go Lindsay Collins, nah. I'll go Nathan Cleary, yeah, all right, I'll give it to you. And, mate, he's just grabbed me and fucking launched me, mate. And
really?
I was like, well, and then after that, I tell everyone, I was like, mate, he's a strong prick, you know? Like, he doesn't look it, but...
So it's probably a part of his game that people underestimate, maybe, especially fans, probably more fans.
Everyone probably sees him as, you know, the playmaker and stuff like that, whereas now I see him as the playmaker and the defender, you know? He's, you know, and I watch his game now. I didn't watch it back then, but he can defend, you know, and it's good to watch.
Well, did you catch the Penrith? I don't know if you catch the Penrith game that was on recently with the Dogs.
Oh, yeah, we watched it. Yeah,
and then you see in those big moments, isn't it, when he, with the charge down. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's tough to watch as an Eels supporter, but Penrith dominating so much.
You're an Eels supporter?
Yeah, unfortunately. Unfortunately. No. So, you know, I've had a lifetime of misery, mate. But so that's interesting. So physically, you thought he was pretty hard. And then what about, I guess, anyone?
But then again, Latrell Mitchell, he was, you know, he ran at me, and I don't think I made any contact with him at all. He just went straight through me and just scored under the post. So it wasn't my greatest moment, but we watched it back, and we got a video of him getting smoked by him too.
Oh, really? It gets replayed a bit.
No, because we ran a play. We ran down the right hand side, and we've done like a block play, and then I've given it to Ethan, and I thought he was in for all money. I thought he was about a metre away from the try line.
Oh, really?
It was actually close to 10 metres out. Latrell Mitchell Mitchell's just fucking come from the corner and just cleaned him up. He's dropped the ball, and you can see in the video I'm over the top of him going, just fucking score the goal, score the try, you idiot.
But you're still about 10 metres away.
Not realising, that was funny.
And then even for you boys, like, because we'll get Ethan in soon as well, but even for you, mate, with that squad, like, what about with the actual, were there many Italian players, like, in the squad as well?
I think as part of, probably Ethan knows more about it than me, but I think there was a thing that they had to have about 4 or 5 international, like, Italian players, like, in the squad. Yeah. I don't know if they had to play one of them, but we had Joeli played, and looks at now. I think we had to have at least one of the Italians in there. And Joeli, he was, he's doing a bit of coaching for Italy now too.
Wow.
So he was playing over in France, and then now I think he's retired now and doing a bit of coaching for Italy. So he was but he was an Italian born and bred, and he was a quality player. And he come off the bench for us, played a bit of back row and in the middle for us. He was good.
But it must be a great experience, as you said, to reconnect with your culture as well.
Yeah, no, it was good, mate, and my mum and dad come over too.
Yeah.
They come over to England and watch a few of the games, and I could tell, but me running out, it made them real proud and stuff. Mum was in tears when she saw me play my first game, and, and I speak to them about it to this day, my grandparents about it this day, and they just said, Luke, we're still proud of you of what you've done, and, if that's the highlight of my career, then so be it. I know I haven't played NRL yet, but, I was able to play in the World Cup, which a lot of people haven't, and, I'm super, proud and, happy with what I've done.
Mate, I was going to say, this is your first podcast, but you're doing well to give me a few segues.
I've been saying to my partner, like, I've been stressing out, like, I'm sweating now, like,
I do get sweaty every time, so don't worry, mate.
It is. No, but like, I knew, like, I can talk, but I was just, I was just, I don't know why.
No, mate. I was going to say, you've given me some great segues. So I was going to ask you, where do you see your career progressing?
So I've always wanted to come over here and give Super League a crack. I was actually meant to come over a few years back, but sort of it just backflipped for some reason. But I think I'd like to have at least 1 year in Super League, at least say that I've done that, and because like we spoke about before, it's still a very high quality football, and I'd love to be a part of it. And but at the moment, I'm just sort of I'm happy at London, and what I'm doing here, and if I stick around for one more, I think I'll have 1 more year over here, because I don't think I can be away too far from my family for too long. It was different in Sunny Coast because, I was only a 2-hour flight. I could jump on for a weekend or for a day, but I can't do that here. We've had a few things happen back home where my parents come over here. Like, they would have come over and spent a bit of time over here, but I got my sister's wedding, and then she just had a newborn too. So they're tied up back there with looking after all that. So maybe 1 more year over here, and then that'll be me. And then I'll probably go back home and play a bit of local footy, just do whatever while I still can. I'm only 26, and I still got a few more years left of me, I think.
I definitely do forget that when I interview players, like how young you guys are too. Because usually they're a lot bigger than me. Yeah. So I feel like I'm like thinking,
I know, 26. I was like 20s only felt like a few years ago. Like I'm a senior player now. I still whenever I'm in the team now with London, like they say senior players, like, go on, speak up, and I'm like, oh shit, that's me now, isn't it? I've got to start saying, because like all the young boys now, they're all 19, 20. I'm going, holy shit, and they're double the size of me. So I don't know what they're feeding them over here, but they're a lot bigger.
And then before we get our mate Ethan to jump on for part 2, mate, is there anyone you want to, it doesn't have to be Blanche, by the way, but is there anyone you want to shout out or just thank for your career as well if they listen to this? Because I find family and friends do listen.
Yeah. Obviously, my partner for pushing me to come over here, because she sort of said, Luke, just do it, and because we'd only been dating for a few months before we came, and I said to her, look, like, I want to move to England, but do you want to come with me on it? She goes, like, let's go, let's do it. We've only been together a few months, but I want to do this with you. I want to be part of this journey with you. I was like, oh, sweet, let's do it then. Obviously, my parents, you know, they've been, you know, I'm a bit of a hothead, so they've had to calm me down a few games in the car. So I've had a few sprays with my dad about footy games, and my mum, a few tears here and there. But they've been there. Like I said, they come to the World Cup. They made the effort to come over to it. Like a lot of parents wouldn't do that. You know, they'd be watching it on TV or whatever. But they made the move over here, and yeah, basically just those few people. And obviously I got mates and coaches who, you know, was with me for a long part of my career, and you know, I wouldn't be, you know, they've turned me into more of a leader now, because like I said, I'm a bit of a hothead. You know, in the last few years especially, I've become a bit more of a leader role as I'm getting older, you know. So yeah, that's about it, really.
Mate, I was gonna say you seem quite zen to me, but even you said you feel nervous, and I didn't see anything from it. I was saying before the podcast, guys, if you're watching this on video, when it goes to Luke, it looks like a model, and then you got me. I think I've aged a few years since having I've aged a few years, mate. But it's been excellent, mate. And we'll get you to stick around for part 2.
No worries.
Thanks, Luke.